What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Vampy Book Club. I have my main man here, Delman, and we're going over issue 2 of the Warren Run, Vampy issue 2. And, well, Vampy issue 2, we get introduced to her cousin, the, what was it? Emily or whatever they said it was. And then
I said Everly,
the
right?
main Everly, yeah, that's what it was.
Everly.
Everly, but they because the main reason they did that was they were trying to introduce more like a little bit like a rogues gallery and like a little bit like a family thing, like pretty much like a like a rogues gallery type thing, like how Batman has there. So they were trying to do that, and they were doing all kinds of they were trying to do all kinds of stuff because they weren't sure if Vampy would sell. So that's why they used her cousin. And if you look at the first couple of issues of these issues, that's why she wasn't on the cover. And it's supposed to be her book, and she's only in 81 issues, and then a couple of them are reprints.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So that's not a lot. And it's 113 issues. And she's not on all 113 or 112 if you count the Warren stuff. So some big fans only count Warren stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but the cover is done by Bill Hughes. That's who the cover is done by, Bill Hughes. And then the funniest thing was Bill's Bill's artwork actually came up for sale on Heritage twice. So this is the first time it came up in 2006. June 21st, 2006 is when this person bought the actual cover art from issue 1. So, if you didn't hear, I said twice. So the second time it got sold was 2008, and for way less.
$200. It's like a $200 difference between the two.
Yeah, $200 difference, and that's a that's a big difference compared to this, where it first sold for that. And yeah, so I'm thinking that's not the main painting, but I think it was like a rough draft of the painting. I think that's what that was. But it's kind of interesting to see. I mean, and then there's a story in here about Everly, anyways, about her. There's a story about her in here. There's like a little story about the cousin, about Vampy's cousin in here. So it's like this issue here of 4, like number issue, 4 of talking about who she is. Like it introduces you to her, the character and everything, to tell you who who she actually is. She's actually, actually Vampy's cousin. Blah 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 blah. They were trying to create a little family for her, like a little, like a little rogues gallery for her, a little, or sidekicks and stuff, and all kind. And the biggest thing was they didn't think Vampy would sell. That's why all these covers had different no Vampy on it until issue 8, because they thought, oh, Vampy won't sell, so let's just get this and that and everybody else and their mom instead of Vampy on the cover. And then to their astonishment, they've messed up. They fucked up.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
they messed up big time. They figured out they messed up big time because they lost out on a bunch of St. Julian covers of Vampy. Think about it. First issue was Frazetta. They could have had St. Julian do some more Vampy covers, but they didn't think she would sell. So what they thought would sell was, because it's a anthology. They thought the anthology stuff was going to sell more than the Vampy stories itself. So, and then this is introducing you to her, to who she is and everything, and she's having a little party at her little mansion or a little castle or whatever it is. And then we don't get introduced to Vampy until towards the end of the story. Saying, see, right here at the end.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. and then we jump. If we jump to the Earth, the other one, it's by I believe it is. Hold on. Yeah. See, this is the end of the story. How it says, it looks like the mirror turned her into a cat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A very weird looking cat, but yeah.
Yeah. And then Vampy turns into a bat. If you look up here, she turns into a
Yeah,
bat actually. So
top panel. That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
Was it? Yeah. Wasn't this same issue where I think it was her sister that was introduced as
Yeah,
well?
her sister was it was kind of in her. I mean, if you count it, if she's mentioned in it, so I'll show you the where it says is I'm her sister, right here, Warriors first page right here. This top where. So this is supposed to be that's what it is. This is supposed to be Draculina, I believe. This right here, I'm
Yeah.
the one I'm circling that. So
Yeah.
because it says I'm Vampy's twin sister, blonde twin sister. So
Yeah.
this is supposed to be Draculina, and then this is Vampy down here.
Right. So the blonde, the one with the white. Well, since it's not color, it's like it shows like white. It's
Right,
like a
but it's supposed to be
blonde.
Draculina, I believe.
Dracula.
I believe because if you read it, my name is Draculina, so I'm
Right.
assuming that's Draculina.
Yeah. Yeah, her blonde sister, and then
Yeah. And then well, she comes down to Earth. Well, from last issue, she's down on Earth. But I believe this thing is an ad because Forrest J. Ackerman and the story is by Forrest J. Ackerman and Mike Royer. So I actually met Mike in like 2003, like the beginning of the year in 2003. This is Mike Royer here.
yeah, who
I
did
got
the artwork, right?
who did that artwork, the interior artwork. I met him. He was super cool. He even said he hated the eyes on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he told
Yeah.
me himself that they rushed. I think he said they rushed him or whatever. So he hated the eyes on it. So he hit because I didn't notice this until rereading it and talking to Delman here. Actually rereading it and me and Del were pointing it out. But if you actually look at the issue, she has no nose.
Yeah, just
She
like
only has holes.
yeah,
If you look
little
at it,
holes,
she only
little
has
for
holes.
nostrils. Yeah,
Little holes for nostrils. And then holes for nostrils. And like this issue here right here is she's talking about I need to make money or whatever. Since I'm down on Earth, I need to make blood money or whatever. She says I need to make blood money. So she walks by a newsstand. Well, a lot of the young kids now don't know what a newsstand is.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
so this guy here selling the magazine, and that used to be a little stand in the road. You got magazines and you got newspapers.
And back in those days, some comic books too. So
Yeah, every once in a while comic books. But yeah, so the guy sees her and goes, "Hey, you might be good for this monster contest or whatever." So I'm guessing it was supposed to be famous monsters in the book, but because this issue actually is first appearance of a lot of people, because it's Draculina, it's Everly,
Lily, yeah, her cousin.
Everly, her cousin, and then two other people are introduced in this issue: Forrest J. Ackerman and and James Warren, the publisher, Jim Warren, the publisher, and create one of the creators of Vampy, or get introduced in this issue. But since we brought up Forrest J. Ackerman, like I was telling you guys last week, if you guys watched, I was telling you that he loved the freaking first issue so much, or loved the first painting so much of Frazetta's. He actually had Frazetta repaint. Oh no, he didn't have Frazetta repaint, but he had Albert Nutzel. I got it. Albert. So he had another artist repaint it, but with her sister and her on the painting, and it was without Forrest J's collection for until 2009 when he passed, and then it went to auction. So we don't know where this painting's at. So there's a painting out there. I did a lot of research trying to at least find pictures of this thing. Have not found it, but I'm gonna work my butt off this, and actually try to find something on it, some information on it. Maybe I can, since I want to go to this original art show in Orlando in next year. Maybe I, ask some of these collectors around and see if it's true, if there is, if they've heard of it, if there's, if any of them have pictures or they've seen this thing. It would be kind of cool to find out, hey, it is true. There is with something like that out there.
Mm-hmm.
I've looked all over for this thing. Have not found it.
Well, I'm sure it's somewhere. Somebody knows something about it.
Yeah. But it was so interesting. Like I read this thing. I'm like, holy crap! There actually is it. I wasn't just seeing things or hearing things. I read it. I'm like, oh, there is one. So there is something out there. Yeah. So that's kind of cool to actually know there's something out there. So yeah, man. And then we get introduced to her. You know what I mean? And then she goes, oh, I need to make money. The guy goes, oh yeah, there's there's a costume contest for this monster thing. Then then if you win, you go to Hollywood and all this other stuff. So,
yeah.
But like I was telling Delman earlier, I believe Mike and Forrest J wrote this because there was a painted model coming out like in the 70s or so, I think, or sometime. And this is the model here, the actual. I found it on Heritage. So the actual model that was coming out that, at the time, it was pretty much an comic book infomercial for a damn product, pretty much.
Yeah.
Kind of. So yeah. So that's kind of good. That was kind of interesting to read about. I'm like, oh, so they try to they try to sell something because if we go deeper into the issue, I'll tell you why I think that. So me and Delman actually read it. So yeah, I will tell you why we think that. So in a couple panels.
Yeah.
And then
what I did find funny here was like the magazine she was looking at. You look at the title, it says Monsterella. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Monsterella. Yeah. So they already had the idea for Vampirella. They just put
just kind of like playing around. It's like, oh, Monsterella.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of fun.
And then it gets renamed later, but like this panel here, they're saying, "Oh yeah, like she when she walks, her feet don't even touch the ground. Don't even touch the ground." I'm guessing she didn't know what an elevator was because she pushes the button. No, there's nothing for her to get into.
Yeah.
She goes, nobody's really looking. So maybe I should just pop my wings out.
Yeah, exactly. She popped her, because she's pretty much a vampire alien from another planet. So
right,
yeah.
So so I thought this was funny, but I believe it's this panel. But Mike's art actually came up on Heritage again, where I was looking around, I was messing around about issue 2, and found out, oh look, there's so there's a panel here, but we'll get to that panel soon. But yeah, I thought it was kind of cool that I found all this stuff, so I'll be going over that as soon as we hit that page. And then like Mike doing again, no nose.
Oh yeah. The only time we see kind of a nose is in the top right panel and on the side view. It's like, okay, it looks like she has a nose there, but front view, it's like, really, you can't really tell.
Yeah, front view was weird. I'm like, dude, I didn't notice this the first time I read it. The multiple times I read it, I've never noticed that until me and Del were actually going over it, and I'm looking like staring hard. I'm like, damn, I never noticed that. She don't got no nose.
Yes.
Yeah, like, and then yeah, and then she goes. The lady goes, I hear knocking. I hear knocking. Oh, it is not. So there is somebody knocking, and then it opens up, and it's her coming out of the damn elevator when there's nothing there.
Yeah, so that the elevator itself is not there. She just flew up
Yeah.
to the floor.
Yeah, and then you must be here for the contest or whatever, and then you can wait with the other models in the in the other room, and the panel goes, oh, Earth women are what was it?
Yeah.
Beautiful or something like that.
These Earth girls are pretty.
Yeah.
Pretty
pretty earthy. That's what it was. I thought it was kind of like I told you, the first couple of issues are kind of corny.
Yeah, like a corny, cheesy humor.
Corny, yeah, because Forrest J. Ackerman was the one that wrote it, both issues, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah,
and then we get introduced to Forrest J. and from James Warren here. So Forrest is the one sitting at the desk, and then this is James Warren sitting on the desk.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, what I also find funny here is like if you look at the bottom left.
Yeah.
Where it's
Uncle Creepy.
Like Uncle Creepy. Yeah. Somebody dressed up a chick dressed up as Uncle Creepy. So
yeah, I thought that was funny too. Dressed up as Uncle Creepy. And then we go to the next issue. This is the issue. This is the panel I was talking about, where you got introduced to Vampirella, Forrest J. Ackerman, and James Warren. The two creators of her are talking to their creation. But if you look here, it doesn't say Vampirella. It says Vampi Aurora or something like that right here. That panel. Like I was saying, the main reason I think the Forrest J was writing a damn thing was for this, because the company name is Aurora.
Or yeah.
So I thought it was kind of funny they named her Vampi Aurora.
Yeah. So yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting too. So it's
Vampi, because I was trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and then did my research and actually looked. I'm like, that's why.
Because the one thing I noticed is just because when she was asked, like they asked her what her name is, she was about to say Vampirella, but then she said Bambirella.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said Bambirella, and then that's why I noticed that when they were talking about, okay, maybe Aurora will do a Bambi Aurora.
Yeah. So that's why. So that's why is because the company name of because they say dollar action figure, something like that in the panel or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's an actual painted model. If you actually look at the kit. But I actually found this page on Heritage. So I actually found that was kind of funny. I actually found this page on Heritage.
Yeah.
This page actually sold in 2008 for $627. So somebody out there has this page. I wonder if they have issue 2. Actual issue 2.
I'm sure they do. It's like it seems like issue 2 is like not that hard to find.
Right.
It's like it has its challenges to find it, but
Right. But it'd be kind of cool to have this thing framed right next to the book, like the book right next to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like a graded copy of like a CGC graded copy of the issue 2. Yeah.
Right. And it's like I would said, man, I did all that, all that research this week for this issue.
Oh, yeah. So see, I didn't know about the doll thing, about the doll.
The action figure or whatever.
Yeah.
They said they kept saying action figure, and I'm like looking at the thing. I'm reading the synopsis. I'm like, it's a painted model. Why are they saying?
Yeah, because the only action figure that I know of is the one that you got recently.
Yeah, and that one, and then there's other ones. There's like other ones from the 90s, but yeah, but it was during the 90s time. And then here's the last panel right here where well, oh, here's your she won, so here's your plane ticket to Hollywood, blah 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 blah. And then if you look at the panel, the plane actually gets split in half, so we think she's dead. But she's an alien from a different planet, so I don't think she's dead, gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we get this, and come to find out, this page actually came up too on Heritage, and I found it right here where it went for a little less, and the funniest thing, she actually has a nose in this one towards the last panels, because if you look at it, she actually has a nose. Look, she has no look. She got a nose.
Yeah,
but if you look at the other panels, she don't got no nose, and it's for less.
Yeah,
and it's so for less. And you got introduced to James Warren. That's kind of, you know what I mean. That's cool, and stuff like that. That's always great, man. It's like all this stuff, and then you get other stories in this thing. You know what I mean, like another story by a couple other creators and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, so like that, like they thought the horror anthology stuff would sell better, and then you get other stories in here. I thought some of these stories were kind of cool. What you think, Dale? Since you read,
I thought the stories were pretty fun. So it's always cool to see the different stories and just the art, even appreciating the art from that time period,
right?
As well, yeah.
Some of these stories were kind of fun. I mean, like I told you guys, if you guys want us to go over the stories, I'm all down to go over the stories. Just let us know if you guys want us to go over the stories, or whatever. And if you guys are here, I might even copy the link and let you guys follow along with us, if anything. So if you guys are around, I'll put it in the chat, or put it in our live chat, and let you guys follow along if you guys want. And we can talk about it in the chat and stuff like that. So, I mean, some of these stories were kind of cool. I thought they were kind of interesting. What'd you think?
I thought it was pretty interesting, especially the one here with involved like a mummy or some werewolves and stuff like that too. So it's kind of fun. It's like a lot of times I just got what I'll do is like I'll go through it just to kind of look at the artwork first, and it's like, all right, cool. Then I'll start reading the story. As well.
But that's how I did it too. I started at the artwork first. But a lot of this stuff was interesting, and then you got introduced to, look who's in the corner at the end. It's just the end, and it's supposed to be Vampy at the end.
Yeah,
right here, because she was pretty much Uncle Creepy, Eerie, and all those guys. She was pretty much the host of this book, because they thought the anthologies would sell better than she would.
Yeah,
that was unexpected that she was the one that sold the Common Sense books named Vampirella.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But they didn't. Yeah, they made dumb decisions and they didn't expect it.
Yeah. Oh, I always find that how interesting that the like how different, like whenever they draw like a werewolf, it's supposed to be like a werewolf or something, like
right.
And it just doesn't look like a werewolf at all. It's just like some weird humanoid.
Yeah, like a caveman more than anything.
Exactly.
More like a caveman.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, and then you could have got Conan, like Conan books and stuff, and then all kinds of other stuff, mail away stuff.
Yeah.
And here's the other story. Here's that other story. I think this one's by
art by William Barry and story by Nicola Cuddy.
No, Nicola. And then this one was another interesting one. Like a lot, like all the anthologies are cool. It's just pretty much like if you like Crypt Keeper type stuff, you like all that stuff. These are what the first generation of Vampirella books was this stuff, was anthologies. It was a bunch of little stories by other artists, other creators, and their little stories and stuff like that. Yeah, but like you said, the art's really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like because like with all this, it's like, I'm learning a lot, even just like because I didn't realize like okay, like a lot of us, at least I remember the TV show, the Tales from the Crypt that was on HBO.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you might remember it too, Jeff, but
Yeah.
I remember just that I didn't know that came from these horror magazines.
Yeah,
From
pretty much. Yeah, that's pretty much where where Crypt Keeper the like the semi idea came from that. But I think the main idea was because of the famous the lady I can't why can't I Elvira.
Elvira, yeah, Elvira,
Yeah,
like Elvira, and then like growing up as a kid. So
yeah,
when I lived here, like some of my childhood years was here in Tampa. So there was like
right.
there was a was it creature feature? I think it was on the
Yeah.
weekends.
I remember those. I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I remember those.
yeah. So it was like and it was like
Yeah, the creature feature, and then they had a the little guy that hosted it, and he would always host it, and that's pretty
yeah,
much what these books were like the vampy books, the creepy books. All those books were was this
yeah,
type of stuff.
because the whole creature feature thing was a
Yeah.
guy named Dr. Paul Bearer.
Oh yeah.
Remember that one? So
Yeah, I remember that.
it'll
Yeah.
just do something like horror movie or something like that. It was some of them were kind
Yeah.
of cheesy. So
Yeah, but they were all They were all cheesy.
yeah,
Yeah, they were all kind of cheesy. But like I said, the next we don't get Vampirella back on the cover until issue 8, and then it was only 80, and she was only on 81 issues. That's kind of funny that the book's named after her, but she's only on 81 issues.
yeah. So yeah, because I remember going through the collection that I have too. It's like I don't.
Yeah,
She wasn't always on every cover.
yeah, and it's but the first couple of issues she don't come back. Yeah, and then we don't get her back until issue 8, and then so we're gonna be going over issue 3 in 2 weeks.
To extent,
In 2 weeks.
yeah. So sorry about next week, man. It's just I bought
No,
tickets.
you're good. No, you're all good, man. Metallica comes first, man. We can always do. It gives me more time to research stuff, so
Yeah,
always good.
yeah.
Gives me,
I bought those tickets almost a year. And I think it was like 10 months ago when they went on sale. So I was
yeah,
like,
but like I said, like I joked around, yeah, you know what I mean. It gives me more time to research stuff, and
yeah,
I can find more cool stuff about it, and tell you guys about this stuff. Because I would like doing it this way instead of doing freaking videos where I'm telling you guys stuff. You know what I mean? At least every issue I can tell you about little bits and pieces, and you guys are, oh hey, I didn't know that, or
yeah,
learn new stuff or whatever. So yeah, but it's kind of cool to see all this stuff, all this art. Look, and then another and she's at the end again
just at the end. Yes,
because she's she's getting beat because she introduces the story, and then it ends with her saying, "Hey, I wouldn't do that if I was you," or I've never seen that before, or whatever, like weird little phrases or whatever.
yeah.
But it's always
Yeah, yeah. It's always like the weird little phrases and little funny
yeah.
humor.
Whoops.
You know, it's always a little funny humor that's
Yeah,
at the end, a little funny, like quick little one liner.
yeah, yeah. And I've always thought these other stories were interesting. It's just like I said, we could go over the whole thing. You know what I mean? It would take a little longer, but that's up to you guys. If you guys want us to go over these, to go over, I mean, I can go over more history about her too. If you guys want that too, you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
if
it's I
every
noticed also that this story was also done by this one right here that we have up is
yeah
done by the same person as the previous one, Nicola Cudi.
yeah
Yeah, same
and it looks way different from the previous one. If you look
Yeah,
at
yeah,
it,
yeah. It's a
the art
different
looks
art.
way different.
Yeah, it's a different artist. The writer's the same person, but the
Yeah,
artist
yeah,
is different.
yeah. But it's cool. I mean, it's another one. You can tell it's from the '60s.
Yeah, yeah, very much.
You can
Yeah,
tell, yeah, by the art style and stuff. You can tell it's a
yeah, definitely from
yeah.
the
But
'60s.
you don't get the fancier. We don't get the fancier artwork until later down the line. The fancier artists until later down the line. We don't get
Yeah,
Jose Gonzalez and them until later down the line. Like
yeah. Yeah, it's like,
I mean, we got early Neil Adams in these, so I think like Neil did like a couple of issues. I forget how many issues, but he did a couple of issues of
yeah,
these.
because Neil Adams was in the first one. He did
Yeah, he
something in
did
the
it
first.
one. I think he did 1 and 2. I think he did a story in 2 or not. I'm not sure. I forget, but I think he did a story in 3. I think he did like a couple issues, like the first couple issues. He did something. I think that I can remember, but like this art's cool. I mean, this is different, but it's interesting, So it's like another set talking about robots taking over the world, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's what this would.
Yeah.
Like it's not happening right now.
Yeah, well, yeah. Now it's the AI. It's like,
Yeah,
like, well, how many? It's like we always see that all the time. Robots taking over the world in some
yeah.
way, and it's like,
It's been since look. It's been going on since the '60s, man. Everybody
yeah,
thinks. So
yeah.
it's been going on for a while, man. But it's like you know what I mean. It's a bunch of these little stories. You know what I mean? It's like a bunch, and then yeah, we're getting another commercial.
I always like it because the one thing I used to see a lot and from the older comics
Yeah.
is the ad for the Venus flytrap.
Oh yeah.
I always see that, and it's like I always see.
Or the Venus flytrap, or these are famous for. Oh, if you want some dirt from what was it? From from where Dracula is from, whatever.
Yeah,
The little necklace of dirt.
yeah,
It's probably they probably dug it up in the backyard and put
yeah.
it
So
in.
yeah, exactly. Somebody's backyard somewhere. It's like
Right.
yeah, some dirt
Yeah,
from
but
the.
it's like the famous monster stuff and all kinds of, you know what I mean, all kinds of ads pretty much. And then these are the Blazing Combats. And then
Oh yeah,
these are the ones that Frazetta did all 4 covers for. So
I got one of these somewhere.
yeah. That collection you ended up picking up, you ended up getting some.
Yeah,
But
it's like
yeah,
yeah. I think it's. I want to say I think it's issue 2. That's what I
yeah,
got.
yeah. But it's like 4 issues. Yeah, the art's interesting in it. I think what was it? Wally Wood was a creator in that one. So that's kind of, you know what I mean? And then books. Well, kids don't know what books are right now because they all use iPads.
Yeah, it's on iPads and their phones and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they wouldn't even know what these things were if we did show them. But yeah, and then the creepies. So
Yeah.
all the creepies.
Creepies are fun.
Yeah, creepies are fun. Yeah, and then some more creepies, and then another story. Yep,
Yeah,
and another, and then if you see, she's up in the corner here.
like a composer, but
Yeah,
a
yeah,
composer.
but her little funny line up here is pretty funny. If yeah, the fun her like I always thought it was kind of funny that they have her like being Elvira pretty much in the
Yeah.
thing. Hey, this is the story going on. The Peter or whatever, and they say this is what's going on in the story, and then you get thrown into the story, like him driving down the road.
Yeah, it's a monster piece, so she puts it in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Because
man,
they know that you're gonna your attention is gonna be to the Vampirella.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. It's
so
pretty.
I
Yeah,
thought
it's
it
good.
was, you know what I mean. I thought this was kind of cool. Like every single issue is her introducing the story, but they didn't get, like I said, they didn't get to her story until issue 8, pretty much,
Yeah,
like actual story until issue 8. So, like another vampire story, always cool. So,
yeah. That's
steak.
yeah. This is fun. And then at the end, it's like it's like you're in with her, little cheesy line again. So
What's going on,
what
Big Remo? What's up, Remo? Welcome to Vampy Book Club.
up?
Yeah, but like pretty much this is you know what I mean? This is type of stuff. This is the type of stuff that's in the magazines, pretty much in all the Warren magazines. If you guys didn't know, that's what this type of that's what it was. It was anthologies for a little while until issue 8, I think, until issue 8, and then every issue after that you would have at least one Vampy story in every issue, because the first couple issues they thought the anthology part would sell better than she would. How wrong were they?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's like she's the star of this series. So
the freaking book is named after them.
yeah, it's named after her, and
Yeah.
yeah. Remember with the smiley faces.
yeah. It's based off of her, man. It's like, why would you guys not have stories about her in here? But for like I told you, they'll 8 it not until issue 8. You don't see her back on the cover and a story about her until issue 8. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's the way I look at it too. At the same time, it's like it's cool. Like if it like okay for issue 2, since it is
Right.
introducing her cousin and her sister.
Right.
It kind of introduced her sister, but it was more her
Right.
cousin. The
But
cousin.
since Remo's back, this is her cousin. If you this is her cousin,
Evilly.
Evilly. I do it. You guys would have laughed if you guys try to see me try to freaking pronounce the damn name a couple of times. I'm like, Everly. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they were trying to create a roads more. Would you say more like a sidekicks for her or a roads gallery for her? You think? I think of more like a roads gallery, pretty much. Like they try to introduce Draculina, they try to introduce Everly. They were trying to introduce a bunch more characters to make it into like a little, so like pretty much like Batman has his sidekicks and rogues gallery. So they were trying to do they tried to do that for the first couple of issues. Well, they try to do this with this issue here. So yeah, and then this is Everly here. So
yeah, I think that's what they're just trying to do, to add more characters to give the Vampirella a little bit more depth.
A little more depth. Yeah, and then we can, like like these type of panels. Like the funniest thing about Mike's stuff is like the eyes, man. The eyes were the ones that freaked me the hell out when the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's just so big and like bugging out. I'm like, what?
Bugging out. Not only that, but the lip and then the nose is like. I mean, at least this one you see like it's semi nose here, but if you look up at this panel here, it's like there's no nose.
Yeah.
And then, but you look at the guy got a nose. Everybody else got noses. It's like, why did you not give her a nose? Like right here, she looked like a pig, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. it's just odd.
It was just I would love to actually get Mike on here and actually talk about this issue and see what the details of the issue were, what actually happened and why he didn't outline a nose for her. Or maybe it's the way it's printed. I never know.
I don't think printing would have had anything to do with it because there's especially back then. This is more
right
penciled than inked.
Right.
Yeah. By hand and stuff like that. So
right.
I think printing wasn't really an issue, especially if it was penciled and inked properly.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I just thought it was interesting, man. Like just looking at it, and you actually having the chance to actually read it, and I sent you the digital file for it, and you actually read it. So you had was it corny?
Yeah. A little corny, but it's fine. It's like to be expected for the writing for that period.
But yeah, but not only that, but if you think about it, Forrest J. Ackerman was the guy that wrote it, and he's known for science fiction type writing. So
Because Jeff, I have the hard copy, but as soon as I got it, I sent it out to get graded.
You're not the only one. I got it up there. It's graded too. I got reprints. I got the reprints in my box here, but I had Mike sign. I actually had Mike sign my copy of the reprint.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I had Mike sign the reprint, but like, you know what I mean? Like these panels here are like, dude, she got no nose again. It's like, so I'm like I said, I'm assuming that he had a time crunch and he had to draw it real fucking fast, and couldn't outline a nose, so he went, screw it, put 2 dots, 2 dots everywhere.
Yeah, it's like I just
And like you said, I thought this was kind of fun because if you didn't know that was Uncle Creepy, you would think that that's Crypt Keeper there.
yeah, it's like total Uncle Creepy. So I was like, oh,
Yeah,
but
you know who the character.
yeah, and it makes sense because it's a part of Warren.
Yeah,
Creepy and eerie is all
right.
part of Warren Publishing, so it makes sense to
Yeah,
throw that in there. So it's kind
yeah.
of fun.
But you know, these guys, these two egos had to be real big because they introduced themselves in the damn book.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And of course, the guy that, especially that period, the owner of a publishing company, probably one of the most
Yeah,
popular. I'm sure it was one of the most popular publishing companies back then. So
right.
I'm sure he had a little bit of an ego. Yeah,
Yeah. But they both had egos there. But the story goes that Forrest wrote that story, and then Warren read it. Warren didn't like it, so that's why when we were talking last week, that's why the freaking that's why the annual had the retell of it in it.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, like all these other stories were kind of cool. I just forgot where we left off. But
See, we were at the story about the robots at the end.
robots at the end, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was at the end, at the very end, but
Yeah. I got you. Yeah, it was
yeah,
like,
the
yeah, I find
futuristic.
it.
It was a futuristic one.
Oh nope, that's too far.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
this is where we were at.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's right there.
yeah. So this is where we were at, pretty
Yeah,
much talking about the vampires story. But
yeah,
yeah, this is how. Yeah, but this is how Vampire 1, Vampire 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They don't have no vampire stories in it. They have all these anthologies because the Warren and all them. Oh, Vampire won't sell, but the anthologies are gonna be gonna be the seller for Vampirella. But you named the book Vampirella anyway, so you should have
yeah,
just named it anthologies if
yeah.
we were gonna do that.
Well, but I guess maybe they were thinking, since they have Vampirella playing the host
Yeah.
of kind of like, of each story, like introducing the story,
Well, but that's
then
like like we were talking, like that's probably like because Uncle Creepy same way. So that's probably why they named the book Creepy, and that's why probably they named the book Vampy.
yeah, Vampirella, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
so
then this is
so
the this is the last panel of the issue,
yeah.
or the commercial panel, and then that is, I believe that's a Frazetta pencil or ink. I believe this here, I believe it is because
Yeah,
I've seen it. I've seen
well,
something like it,
yeah,
similar to it.
I can see it as a quick sketch of it. Yeah, something
Yeah,
you do like a quick like a quick drawing.
yeah. I believe I've seen it at the museum, but I could always ask Sarah. Sarah
Yeah,
would know better than I would. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, Sarah Frazetta, his granddaughter.
granddaughter Frank
If you guys, it's your first time being on this channel, I'm actually close with Sarah. Sarah, and Del knows this.
Yeah,
Everybody and their mom that follows me knows this. But if you haven't been following me and you're brand new to this, I'm a big Vampirella guy. If you guys can't tell,
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
You're the guy I went to
yeah,
when it came to when I
yeah,
went to go buy that Warren Publishing collection. I was
yeah,
like Jeff,
yeah.
tell me about
Oh
this.
yeah, and then you get little stories here about little snippets of what what the next issues are gonna be entail and stuff like. Yeah, these are stories from coming from the next issues or from this issue. Actually, yeah, these are panels from this issue. Yeah, and then I think the little kid one was Neil Adams' story here. The little kid one right here, where the two little kids are talking.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I believe those those were, and then you get the this and that. But
yeah.
yeah, But it's that's pretty much issue 2 for you guys. But like I said, so they introduced Everly in this issue. If you guys didn't see from the beginning, introduced Everly, and then I was showing Dell earlier and everybody else the actual original. I guess maybe I'm thinking. Dell, I'm thinking rough sketch. What do you think? You thinking rough sketch? I don't think it's the painting. I think maybe like a rough sketch or rough painting of it.
Well, it's colors, so
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, so it's sold twice. So this thing sold twice, but it's supposed to. Well, but what the detail said, it was the original. I guess original painting. I think
I think it's a painting. It's based off the image
Yeah,
that's on the screen here. I think it's a
yeah,
painting.
right, yeah. But what they were saying, yeah, but it sold in 2006 the first time for $1,000. And then I would be mad as hell if I was the guy that bought it and then had to resell it again and got
For
it
less money.
and for freaking less money at that. I would be so pissed. I would be so mad.
Yeah, so it looks like a painting. It doesn't look like it's like a
Right,
oil or a pastel.
right. So
Art.
so this is supposedly this is the cover, but this would be kind of cool to actually see this in person, to see both of these. You know what I mean? If he had this and that in person, whoever bought it framed them together, or framed them, like like you said, CGC or whatever. Yeah, and then and then the interior panels, like this one of the interiors of the book, so it's like the interiors of the book.
I forgot.
You know what I mean? That
he brought up Heritage Auctions. Heritage Auctions. I completely forgot that company existed.
Yeah, because I was just like I said, I'm really in. If you guys don't know, I'm a big Vampy fan, and if I'm gonna show you guys this type of stuff, I'm gonna do a bunch of my research about about the issue, to see if there's any any of those original panels went up, like that. I'm gonna do my research, read up about stuff. Like I didn't know that Forrest J loved so the only person that knows this is Forrest J. Ackerman himself. Why because nobody knows why he had a duplicate painting, like I told you last week, a painting painted of Vampirella 1's cover, but you have Vampirella and Draculina on the cover or on the painting, and then you have this guy Albert Nutzel. Yeah, and he had Albert Nutzel do this. But I would love to freaking actually see this thing, a picture of this thing, or something in person of this, this painting of, just to see anything of this painting. I would be kind of interested to see how Nutzel drew Draculina, since they were supposed to be twins of each other, but it's just one's a blonde and one's a brunette.
Yeah, perfect. So they look the same. There's
right.
At least, since you're twins, they're supposed to look the same. The only difference is
right. So
I must,
but it was kind of interesting that down the line, well, now they give her a black outfit. I'm wondering what Warren's original idea for Draculina was. Was it she's a twin, she's a blonde, but I'm gonna give her the same red outfit? You know what I mean? So that's kind of interesting to see. But this stuff is gonna be cool. But if you guys really enjoyed this, like it, subscribe to my channel. If you guys haven't been here before, and Delman's here. Delman's gonna be here every week with me doing this, and we got 100. Well, if we're only doing the Warren run, we got 112. But if we're doing the whole run, we're gonna and if you count the Harris one, it's 113. But some of them are reprints, so we may not do the reprints. So we may just do the reprints, just talk about the cover or whatever.
Yeah.
And then but it's up to you guys what you guys want to see. What you guys want to see for Vampy Book Club. Let me know. I mean, I'm working on some stuff. try to get some cosplayers on here and send them the the PDF and have them read it and see what they think of it, because some of them have never read her old stuff. So it's everybody's they've read probably the newer stuff. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see their point of view, what they think of the character after reading it. Like somebody that's never read her before and actually read some of these old magazines. It'd be kind of like Del's never actually read any of it. So it's kind of cool to see his point of view. I've read you know what I mean? This is me rereading it, going over it. So it's kind of cool to see both of our point of views of what everybody thinks. I've always thought the first two issues were kind of corny. That's my that's my point of view.
Yeah, I think they are a little bit. I think and like I was telling Jeff the last week that the only reason I knew of Vampirella, but there's a lot of the deeper history behind her I didn't know anything about. The only reason I knew about her was because of a trading card set that I was collecting back in the 90s.
But that's how the 90s was. It was comic books, trading cards, comic books, trading cards.
Yeah, so and that's what I was mostly into.
Right.
As I was getting into slowly getting into comic books, I was mostly collecting mainly sports cards, and then I started getting into comics because I was into sports cards since I was a kid.
Yeah. But we were all into sports cards. I was even into sports cards when I was a kid.
Yeah,
we were all into.
Which I still collect today. I still collect sports cards. I got on and off. I still buy sports cards about that. But I just got into comics. That's all.
Yeah, but and then this run of Vampy is gonna be cool. I mean, I'm gonna have you along the ride with us. You know what I mean? Going over this stuff. So it's gonna be cool. And then if we have other people that want to join in, like I said during our first one, if you guys want to join in, hit us up on the Instagram and the DMs. Hit us up on here. Let me know on here, and I'll find you guys. I'll let you guys, join in. I'll send you the PDF or whatever, however you guys want to do it. And we'll talk the talk, walk the walk, talk about Vampy, see what you knew about her before reading it. So that'd be kind of cool, just to look at the other members of the community to see what their point of view of it, because everybody's not a fan of her. So maybe if I introduce them to one of the magazine issues to see. I mean, trust me, we're gonna go through a lot of corny stuff before we get to the good stuff. So it's gonna be a lot of corn before we get to the good stuff. We don't get the good stuff until I think like issue 10, I think, or issue 12. So we're gonna have a lot of corny stuff to go to dig through before we get to the good stories, pretty much. But that's that's pretty much what I got. That's pretty much what this is gonna be. Is the more fan interaction I get, the more I'm gonna have to do, and then to have issues or whatever. And if you guys want to see something, let me know. Just let me know in the chat. Let me know if you guys want to see newer stuff, older stuff. Just us talk about the newer, like the newer issue of the new Vampirella run by Christopher Cabri. If you want us to go over it, we can. We both got issue 1. If you guys want us to do that, we can. But you guys have to let us know. So,
well, you know which cover I got for that new Vampirella one. So the Mark Spears cover, but
Mark Spears, we all got the Mark Spears. Don't get me wrong, love the guy to death, but a lot of his women look like rubber dolls. But that's just my point of view. But if you guys like him, that's cool. I like him too, but you know what I mean. Not as much as I like the older artists, but like I said, this is what Vampy Book Club's gonna be. Us shooting the shit about Vampirella, talking about what, like, all the information that I know that probably a lot of you guys that don't really read her don't really know, and maybe find this interesting. This is how this is gonna go, because originally I was gonna do a huge video, but I thought this was gonna be funner. This was a funner idea. Nobody's doing this really. You know what I mean? Nobody's actually talking about Vampy. Everybody makes a video about, hey, here's the history of Vampirella. Screw it. Everybody does that. So let me, so my idea was, hey, let's go over every issue of Vampirella 1 to 12, 1 to 112 of the Warren run. And then we can go over 113, but it's really just reprints of all the stuff from Warren.
Yeah.
So
and then plus all the other interaction from people in the chat, whoever's watching.
Yeah, right.
That's why I think.
That's why I'm glad Remo came in and said what's up. You know what I mean? So if you guys want to watch this on the rewind, it's not these things aren't going to be an hour long. They're probably going to be like 50 minutes or so, or sometimes an hour, depending on how much information I find, and we can talk about it. But this is pretty much what it's going to be like every week, except for next week. We'll give you guys a little break, a 2-week break. Well, so we'll go over issue 2 in 2 weeks, and then we'll be back. We'll check you guys later and see you guys in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.